Let us deal with the next bit. Here in this video, we are going to learn about contents called as structures. Basically, what do I mean by structures and why I'm supposed to deal with these structures in spite of having studied all those basic concepts of C language like looping structures, conditional statements, arrays, functions, all the stuff. Whenever we wish to have a real life situation to be molded into programming languages, probably we'll have limitations on arrays. But when we move on to this particular bit called as structures, we can relate more oftenly or more closely to the real life situations. Let us first deal with the arrays concepts. Let's brush up our concepts related to arrays and put these arrays for implementation to a real life situation. Let's understand those limitations and then we'll analyze how structures can take out from that particular limitation and why it is preferred to use structures in that particular situation. Suppose if I say that I'm supposed to collect the marks of say 60 students, how do I go ahead with the situation? Let us not deal with the processing part. Let's put ourselves, how do I declare, how do I read, how do I write those data. So for that, what I can do is I can declare an array of say integer type of 60 values. So I can say int m of 60. Yes, that will serve the purpose for declaration. And if I ask you to read those 60 data, obviously I can read those 60 data by just using a simple for loop. When I say 60 data, the first data is stored at m of 0 and the 60th data is stored at m of 59. So I can use a for loop for I equals to 0 till it reaches to 59 by saying I less than equals 59, I plus plus. So I can say scanf %d, ampersand of m of I. My purpose of reading is solved. I can even display these data using the same for loop, but instead of scanf I can go for printf. Now here the problem statement has been very easily implemented using arrays concept because the data or the amount of data may be large but it is of only one type. The amount of data which I have said at this place is 60 values and it is of type integer itself. Not less that every word which you say about a real life situation belongs to a specific type of data. If I ask you to collect the grade points of 100 students, very easy. Grade points will be of type float, so I can say just float g of 100. If I ask you to collect the temperature of say 10 cities, I can define a float array t of 10. Now here, the data which I am going to spell belongs to one specific type of data. But not as that always it should be of one type itself. Let's take up one situation where we will not be able to say a specific type of data to this particular word. If I ask you to collect the details of say a cricketer. Now here when I say cricketer, a cricketer will have many parameters, many fields associated with him. A cricketer will have a name. A cricketer will have a country name. If he is a batsman, he will have a batting average, number of matches played, what type of, is he an opener, is he a middle order batsman. There are many parameters. As you keep on exploring the person, you will have many fields associated with him. Now can I relate all these fields to a common type of data? No. Your name of the player will be of type say a character array, string. Country name of the player will be again of type string. Matches played will not be a string, matches played will be an integer value. Batting average will not be integer value, it will be a float value. Number of runs scored, again it will be a type of integer. The highest score which he has made, the number of times he has gone out for a duck, all this will be of type integer. So here when I say details of a cricketer will have character values, a cricketer will have integer values, a cricketer will have float values. If I ask you to store his mobile number, a cricketer will have a very large value, that is the long integer value. If I ask you to store the state for which he plays or the country for which he plays, again it will be of type character. Here, the details of cricketer belongs to multiple type of data. So in this case, arrays cannot be used. If at all you think of doing arrays, arrays will be implementing every individual value as one field. So I'm supposed to define an array of name, array of say country name, array of matches played, array of say batting average, array of runs scored, array of highest score, all the stuffs. It all depends upon the array size, again depends upon the number of cricketers. If I think of doing that, then probably when it comes to implementation, it becomes very, very complex. I don't say that it will be not possible. It is possible, but it will be of a highest complexity. So all those complex contents, if I try to implement, probably the program is ready with the solution, but not having that particular accessibility or feasibility or readability with that particular code. So we'll say that it might be producing the output, but not a code which has to be appreciated. In that case, what we do is we move on to this particular bit called as structures. Structures allow us to group all these data which are said: name, country name, batting average, number of matches played, his mobile number, his highest score, number of times he's gone out for a duck, all these things into one specific entity. We call this as a structure. So basically, array is a collection of data, structure is also a collection of data. But here, the data are of different type. So whenever you wish to say that I'm supposed to implement a structure, you have to always say that you have to group a set of data which are of different types. Now, let's have one simple example. Suppose if I had to group, say, employee data. Your employee, I'll not take the multiple parameters for employee. Let's stick to only 3 fields. Name of the employee, ID of the employee, and say salary of the employee. Name of the employee will be a character array. Look at this particular example. So I'll say character array, say n of say 20. Now this is an string value. ID of the employee. For simplicity, let's take ID as an integer value. So I'll say int ID. Salary of the employee. Let's take up that salary will be drawn in fractional values. So I'll take float s. So I have these values. So I have taken the name of the employee, I have taken the ID of the employee, I have taken salary of the employee. Now, all these values which I have stated, they will be able to store only one employee detail: name, ID, salary. If I had to expand this for say 20 employees, 30 employees or 100 employees, then I have to create arrays of this. Rather than that, why don't we group this entire thing as one data? So you want to group that? Yes. So I'll say put a curly bracket and associate a keyword called as struct, and this detail belongs to employee. So I'll say employee and then I'll put a semicolon. So later on in the next video, in the subsequent videos, we'll see how exactly the structure had to be defined with its syntax. What will be the syntactical way of putting this particular structure on paper. So basically, this is one crude example or a formal example where I have stored the details of this particular employee. Here, your employee has got 3 members and all these 3 members are of different type. You can write now a structure for a cricketer. You can write a structure for a hockey player. You can write a structure for a student. You can write a structure for a library. In your exams, if the parameters are given, then it will be much more easy for you to define those members. If parameters are not given, what you can do is, you can take up any 3 parameters which strikes to your mind on the first instance and put those 3 parameters into your examples. So, if I ask you to now define formally the structure, how do I put that? So basically, your structure is a collection of data. You do agree for that? Collection of name, ID and salary. So it's a collection of data where the data are of different type. So structure is a collection of data which are of different type. array is a collection of data, but it is of similar type. Right? So with that, we'll end up this particular video where we have said about the introduction to structure. In the later subsequent videos, we'll see how exactly a structure has to be defined and all those programming parameters. Thank you.